Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. It is mailbag time. Listen, if you're a Bears fan, if you love the Chicago Bears, hit that like button. Be proud in the comments as well. Like the video if you love this football team. F. Marsh kicks us off. Could we trade for Tyler Lockett to bring in a familiar face at wide receiver for Shane Waldron? You do always wonder when you bring in coordinators, like who are they connected to? Who are players that they like that they could bring in? Well, Tyler Lockett has a couple of years left on his contract in Seattle. He's going to be 32, so he's a little bit older, but he's still pretty productive, man. I mean, you look at his last 3 seasons all with Shane Waldron, over 73 catches in all 3, 2 of those years over 1,000 yards, 22 total touchdowns. I think Tyler Lockett is still a quality number 2 receiver. I think he's an excellent number 3 wide receiver, and I think why this is relevant is Shane Waldron runs a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. He sits at 11 personnel a lot. So you've got DJ Moore and a bunch of question marks at receiver. You're going to have to add at least 1, if not 2, quality wide receivers if you're going to run as much 11 personnel as he likes to. So I think what that likely means is sign or trade for a notable receiver plus draft one. I could see that being the route that the Bears go, and maybe you can buy low a little bit on Tyler Lockett. It might have to be a post-June 1 trade based on his contract, but that could certainly be a possibility, a guy who would know the offense and obviously knows Waldron as well. What do you guys think? Should the Bears trade for Tyler Lockett? Type T for trade, P for pass. I've always been a big fan. He can work the slot. He can play outside. Team first guy. If the cost wasn't too much, I would certainly be interested. Rashawn McCain, a first-time super chatter. I'll do some jumping jacks after this segment if you're watching live. He says, if we move on, how do you feel on a trade like what Houston did? Draft Caleb at 1, trade up in a package that includes Fields and next year's 1 to get MHJ. I could see it. I'd rather not trade a future first-round pick, but I'm not shut down to the idea, especially if you just love Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, I'd rather use that Carolina second next year to move up because you could sell that to teams as, that Panthers pick's probably going to be a top 35, top 40 pick again next year. Use that to move up with perhaps another pick. But, yeah, I mean, if you move on from Fields and still landed Caleb and Marvin Harrison Jr., that certainly would be a fun combination. Isaiah Bluebaugh, can we bring Lovie in for DC? Probably a super irrational thought. I don't think it's irrational. I just don't think it's going to happen, right? Like, I've said this for a couple of years. If you want to bring him in as a senior defensive analyst, I'm in. The scheme is similar. To Flus's credit, he got more aggressive with the scheme starting midway through the season. So yeah, I love he's beloved in Chicago. I would not have a problem with him having some sort of role in the organization. I just don't want him in a coordinator title. I think it just creates too much noise, and you just don't need that right now. Busy Steel Boy, appreciate all the super chats, guys. Can we draft a center now and 9 offensive linemen now? 9 offensive linemen. You don't even have that many picks, but yeah, you need a center, whether it's in the draft or free agency, or both, perhaps. I think bringing in competition for Nate Davis could make some sense, adding another guard. If worst case is a backup, but maybe pushes Davis as well. So, yeah, I would expect some more offensive line additions for sure. Fernie, man, I've seen lots of film on 13 to this point. He's the real deal, talking about Caleb Williams. I could definitely see why he's the undisputed first overall pick. Hard to pass on. Yeah, I mean, look, the arm talent's ridiculous. I think something that's probably underrated about his game, too, is I know we hate the screens, but, like, he gets the ball out so fast on those screens with the different arm angles. Like, that extra quarter second, half second can make the difference sometimes. And, hey, this play got blown up for a loss of 2. Instead, in this case, he got 5 yards. So he can do a lot with his arm, man, and he's very mobile as well. It's not like he's a statue back there. Jaxo with the 10, shout out to you. Who is going to be the Bears' defensive coordinator? As we're filming this on Monday, 2 candidates right now, Chris Harris and Terrell. I am drawing a blank. Is it Terrell? Rolly's going to look it up for me. Terrell, help me out in the chat, guys. We just talked about this live on Chicago Bears Now if you're watching on Monday. He's the Titans' assistant head coach, both from the Titans coaching staff. So that's who we're dealing with here. Terrell who? Terrell Williams. There you go. Those are the two candidates as of Monday at 5, 6 o'clock. So we'll see who else could be in the mix. But I want Matt Eberflus to call the plays, regardless of who it is. We do have some DJ Moore jerseys available. If you want to pick one up, go to chatsports.com/DJ. DJ Moore jerseys. We've got men's, women's, tons of sizes available. So if you're looking to get a DJ Moore jersey, go check it out. Chatsports.com/DJ. Go purchase one today. Matty Boy, do you think Waldron hire tilts toward keeping at JF1? I don't think it really tips your hand either way. I think they're leaning towards Caleb Williams if I had to guess, but I don't think that decision's final. I don't think it should be final. You got to get to know him and the other draft prospects at the combine and so forth. So, maybe it tilts it one way or the other, but I don't think it's like super obvious either way, especially in the Fields direction. I would say if it's obvious one way, I would probably lean it being obvious towards Caleb. Lemaine Braswell, Caleb is a Bear, man. What a time to be alive. Good chance, man. I would say it's greater than 50-50 right now. I don't think it's a done deal. I don't think it should be a done deal, but I do think there's a good chance. Benjamin Jones, you said you would give your quarterback pick between Fields and Williams in the next few days. Why not wait until after the combine? I could, I suppose, but if I give it soon, I'll add the caveat of if the guy's a douche and Poles and the Bears don't like him, then obviously that has to be considered. When I give my decision, I'll give it based on the information I have, and I will add the fact that, I don't get to sit down with him. I don't get to do a background check on him and get all this information these teams do. That's up to the Bears. So if I make that decision soon, which I probably will because I wanted to get the OC hire in first, maybe I'll wait for the QB's coach. That caveat will be in there of, if he doesn't check out off the field, then, that's obviously an exception. Isaiah Bluebaugh, the answer to my QB may be on how much trade offers are. Yeah, that makes it tricky, right? Like, I think when it comes to the quarterback position, if you have conviction one way or the other, you have to stick to that. But the number one pick trade offers you might get, you at least have to listen to those. There's no doubt about it. So it's going to be interesting to see how Poles approaches everything. First domino is dropped. You've hired an offensive coordinator. We'll see where it goes from here. Join the channel, Chicago Bears Now. Offseason coverage on the daily. News, rumors, free agency, draft, and a whole lot more. Subscribe, turn on those notifications, hit that bell. We appreciate all your love and support. Lucas, I know, 15 Jumpy Jacks. I'm on the keep Fields side, but I do think Maye greater than Caleb Williams. You are with producer Rolly. Woo! Drake, baby! Drake Maye! He'll win a Super Bowl! I like Drake Maye. He's my QB, too. I like Caleb a little more, but I do like Drake Maye. He's a good prospect, man. Good prospect. H. Scott, what about hiring Chase Daniel as the QB coach? Does he want to coach? I don't know. We know he's been in a lot of QB rooms. He stuck around as a player probably longer than his talent suggested he should have because he had value. Teams clearly valued his services. He's doing a lot of film study on his YouTube channel now, so he's staying close to the game. But I have no evidence he wants to coach, so they'll probably hire someone with coaching experience. Shannon Eidson, appreciate the question. What did you think about drafting a running back in the middle rounds, maybe guys like Blake Corum or Braelon Allen? Yeah, I think you're going to have to add a back. The only backs under contract right now are Roschon Johnson, Khalil Herbert, Travis Homer. Homer's obviously just a special teamer, basically. Herbert had a up and down year, had the high ankle sprain. Roschon up and down as a rookie. I think you got to get someone in here. I think you got to add at least a rotation back. If not, consider upgrading at the position, whether that's in free agency or in the draft. Tricky Trips, if Poles wants Caleb Williams, should he sign T. Higgins for $25+ million to help Caleb out? If Higgins hit free agency, I'd give him huge money. I just don't think he's going to. He's a prime franchise tag candidate, and I just don't want to trade the capital it's going to cost to get T. Higgins and then pay him. If he hits free agency, I'm all in. I'd throw him huge money. But I'm not going to trade for him if I'm the Bears. John Dorman, why is nobody talking about Drake? We haven't talked about him as much recently, but we've definitely talked about him on the show. And he's a good prospect. He's got the prototypical build you're looking for. He can make all the throws. He's mobile. I think one negative that he has is he bails clean pockets too often. But I also agree with Roley. He's probably the best in between the hash throwers in this class, throwing over the middle in those intermediate ranges, which, it takes balls to make those throws consistently. So I'm a huge fan of Drake Mays. I like him a lot. I just like Caleb and his ceiling a little bit more. That's all. Super Bowl champs. Who's going to win it this year? Type BAL for the Ravens. Is it finally Lamar Jackson's year? Did the Chiefs do it again after beating Buffalo? Type KC. Chiefs Ravens going to be fantastic. Type SF for the 49ers. DET for the Lions. Does the Lions' magical run continue? Let us know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. Anthony Osguera. Keep Mooney for a wide receiver 3 for cheap. Contract forgot he was once a 1,000-yard receiver, can make some ridiculous catches. Listen, if Shane Waldron comes in, likes Darnell Mooney, and he wants to stay for a affordable-ish contract, less than $10 million on a one-year deal, like 1 year, $8 million for Darnell Mooney, I'd bring him back. You've got your number 3 there. DJ Moore's your number 1. Then you either draft or sign a number 2. I'm still open to Darnell Mooney. I've said for a while, if I had to guess, they're probably going to part ways. Sean the Savage, would you consider signing A.J. Dillon from the Packers? If it's cheap, he's just in that rotation back category. I don't think he's like a clear-cut starter, but he's had a good run in Green Bay. I'm certainly not closed off to it. He's similar to Deontay Foreman, a bruiser type, but probably a little better in pass pro. Can he play special teams? I actually don't know the answer to that. I don't know if he played much special teams in Green Bay. So if you're getting a guy that's not a clear-cut starter, you got to get someone who can play on special teams, which Foreman could not. Scott Wadja, what would it take to move up from 9 to 4 to draft Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison? Probably at least a future 1 or a couple of 2s, right? I mean, you're moving up 5 spots, so it's not going to be cheap, especially in this draft, and especially for Marvin Harrison. So you'd probably have to give up your 1 next year to do it, or at least that Carolina 2 next year and another pick. So it's not going to be cheap, Scott. So factor that in before you make that decision. Give me a follow on Twitter. If we didn't get to your questions, we can answer them over there at HGramNFL on Twitter, X, whatever you're calling it these days, at HGramNFL. Appreciate all of the questions here on Chicago Bears Now.